course, as I said, we've got this 1 week till the deadline, end of September deadline. 5 of the banks have signed these transaction implementation agreements now. FCMB's acquisition of Finbank is your preferred play in the M&A banking space. Why is that?
There's a couple of reasons why we prefer the FCMB's acquisition choice to that of Access and ETI at this point in time. And I think one of the key reasons is the fact that we think that for FCMB and Finbank, that it would move to operating profit and operating efficiency much quicker than the other 2 banks. We feel that the smaller scale of Finbank would make it easier for FCMB to integrate the 2 businesses and also keep the culture of FCMB intact as well and not dilute the culture. So we think compared to the other 2 transactions, FCMB's plan and option so far appears to us at this point in time. And we also think that compared to the other 2, FCMB appears to have thought through the process and also have plans in place for the subsidiaries, the non-bank subsidiaries. It intends to sell a few of them and also integrate a few into its systems. And we think that that's a positive move compared to the other 2 that are still thinking through that and would give us detail when the process goes on.
So
but I think so far we feel because of the scale it's more. Yes. I agree with you. It's clear to be more clarity in looking at the 2, and I think it's also more sober and it's also appears to be more realistic as well. And it's aware that it won't be a walk in the park, and in terms of there will be integration issues, all right. But I think it's like you said, there's more clarity compared to the other 2 banks at this point.
Why then, of the acquirers, has this stock been so sold off compared to the likes of Access Bank and Sterling Bank, which haven't fallen as much? I mean, FCMB stock's down 43% in the past 3 months to 4 naira 14 kobo.
No, but you know the sell down is not unique to FCMB alone. The other 2 have sold down significantly as well. And if
but
you
not
compare
as much, though.
Those 3, but if you compare those 3 to the other banks, because I think there's still lots of uncertainties around the M&As, and so that's why I think investors are staying off those banks. And I think that's why we also feel that investors should focus on the pure plays right now, because there's far more clarity in those names. There's fewer uncertainties around that. There's no execution risk or event risk to the other names as well. So I think that's why at this point in time we'd prefer First Bank, we'll prefer GT Bank and Zenith Bank as well. And I think if you look at their performance till date, H1 performance has been quite strong. We've seen improved efficiencies, significant improved efficiencies. Annualized ROEs for First Bank, for example, is at 19%. NIM's net interest margins improved significantly. It's currently at 8.1%, which we think is a significant improvement. If you look at Zenith as well, NPL ratios is down to about 3.4%, which we think is very positive. And annualized ROEs as well, is at 16%. So I think it's clear that investors should I say, jittery around the banks that are going into M&As right now, and there's still more stability in terms of pricing for the pure plays at this point. And so that's why we'd also still lean towards those names. And I think operating efficiencies has also shown that you're better off in those names. And we feel it will still take time for these banks going through M&As to integrate these businesses, and they've been distracted by the M&A activities, by the integration activities. And so we feel that these other banks will be focused and will be able to increase and grow market share, while the other
integrating, and most of them
FCMB's Access are integrating.
Most of them are saying it's going to take at least a year in terms of integration with the new banks that they're looking to acquire. As we go into next week, of course, there are 5 days left till the end of September. Do you expect to see increased volatility and perhaps the sell-off that we're seeing in the banking space continue into next week?
I think it would continue, and I think it will continue into next week as well, because I think until we get information from the EGMs and also are sure of the banks that have gone into full agreements for the M&As and the acquisitions, I think there will still be some uncertainties because investors won't be sure if the other parties might still pull out. And so because it's still not certain at this point, and so I think uncertainties will continue until we meet the deadline. And I think we might still see the market soften still after the deadline as well, because I think there are still other issues outside the Nigerian banking space and also the Nigerian market as well. And so foreign investors will still consider issues around global economic growth, will still think of debt issues in Europe as well. And so we think until we see improvement in the global economy, we might still see a lot of volatility in the Nigerian market.
Yeah, of course, a victim really of what's taking place with regards to global risk sentiment.